The story today comes from 2 Samuel chapter 6. I'll start with verse 14 and work all the way through the end of the chapter. David is filled with joy. He's making merry before the Lord and he is in a state of total celebration as he is enjoying, basking in the wonder of what God has done for him. He's celebrating victories, and most importantly, he's celebrating the fact the ark of the Lord is coming to his own city, the city of David, and he's going to put it in the tent of which it was prepared for. And so David, who's in a state of celebration, has called for a state of celebration. He tells the band director, hey, get out every piece of equipment you have, the harp, the lyre, you name it, bring it out, and we're going to all make merry before the Lord because this is a time of celebration. In fact, Scripture says that he made joy with all his heart. He used all his might to bring praise unto God. Him and the whole house of Israel are coming into town and they're bringing a party with them. Now, as they come into town, they bring the party. But they're on the sidelines. They're on the margins, if you will. They're peering through a window. Is the daughter of the once king, but no longer king, Saul. Her name is Michal. She's not part of the celebrations. She's not jumping up and down. She's not on the city streets celebrating. No, she's in a room, peering and staring through a window. And she's looking at a man named David, who's now the anointed king of Israel, the role her father once had as king over Israel. And she sees this man coming, and he's not dressed the way a king should be dressed. He's stripped down to about his skimpies. He's not wearing what he should be wearing. And she peers at him. She stares at him. She can't stand what she's seeing. This is our king? Dressing like that? Jumping up and down, leaping and praising God? That's no king. But she stands on the sidelines and instead of taking part of the celebrations that were going on, no, she's on the sidelines, quiet, stewing in her heart, devising a plan of what she's going to do next. And so the ark comes in, and they put the ark of the Lord into the tent of which was prepared for it. And they go in and they offer burnt offerings and peace offerings. And afterwards they give out food. They give out cakes of raisins and cakes of bread. And it's just a time of celebration. It is just a beautiful scene of God's people celebrating what God has done. Well, like many parties, it gets to be almost closing time. And it's time for David to return home to his house that he might bless his household. And as he's preparing to get there, he looks, and who comes out from the shadows but Michal? She's come to confront David for his conduct that day. The fact he wasn't dressed like a king. The fact he wasn't acting like a king. The fact he wasn't celebrating or acting the way a king should act. So she says, is this the way we act now? Taking our clothes off in front of female servants? Acting so shamefully and disgracefully? Is this the way we're doing things now how could you do this, David? David lets her finish and looks at Michal and says, your father is no longer the anointed king of Israel. I am the anointed king of Israel. And I will continue to make merry before the Lord. In fact, you think this was a party? Just wait. I'll become even more undignified than this. What a response David gives to her. There she sat stewing all day about how she was going to zing David. In return, David zings her and says, I'll become even more undignified than this. In a way, It's like David was saying, Michal, you are not my audience. My audience is the one of whom I was dancing for, and that is the Lord our God, who has anointed me king over Israel. So we have the story of a woman who stands in the window, who stands in the margins, filled with bitterness and resentment towards the newly anointed king. On the other side, we have the anointed king who's dancing with all his might. The chapter ends of Michal, and we see that she went to her grave with no children. The story continues for David, though, and he's the man in Scripture as the only man after God's own heart. And we certainly see him chasing after God as he glorifies God, as he praises God with all his might. Why? Perhaps it's because David knew he had an audience of one.